Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterates peaceful resolution of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, meets President Putin in Kazan on the sidelines of the 16th BRICS summit. Singapore plays a key role in Act East policy, says India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh at the India-Singapore Defence Ministers Dialogue in New Delhi. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken visits West Asia for new Gaza ceasefire push. Israel and Hezbollah exchange new wave of airstrikes. And with just 2 weeks to Election Day, Kamala Harris tries to woo Republicans, while Donald Trump says supernatural hand saved him from being assassinated. So up first, news from the 16th BRICS summit at Kazan, Russia. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a 2-day visit to Russia, where he began the day's engagements with meeting Russian President Vladimir Putin. Both leaders held discussions in several areas of mutual interests, including regional and other international issues. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India has deep and historical ties with the city of Kazan. The Indian Prime Minister added that the opening of India's new embassy in Kazan will further strengthen bilateral ties.
मेरे लिए खुशी की बात है कि ब्रिक्स समिट के लिए कजान जैसे खूबसूरत शहर में आने का अवसर मिला है। इस शहर के साथ भारत के गहरे और ऐतिहासिक संबंध रहे हैं। कजान में भारत के नए कॉन्सुलेट के खुलने से ये संबंध और मजबूत होंगे।
Speaking on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Prime Minister Modi said that they should be resolved in a peaceful manner.
एक्सेलेंसी, रूस और यूक्रेन के बीच चल रहे संघर्ष के विषय पर हम लगातार संपर्क में रहे हैं। जैसा मैंने पहले भी कहा है, हमारा मानना है कि समस्याओं का समाधान शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से ही होना चाहिए। शांति और स्थिरता की जल्द से जल्द बहाली का हम पूरी तरह समर्थन करते हैं। हमारे सभी प्रयास मानवता को प्रमुखता देते हैं। आने वाले समय में भी भारत हर संभव सहयोग देने के लिए तैयार है। एक्सेलेंसी, आज इन सभी विषयों पर विचार साझा करने का एक और महत्वपूर्ण अवसर है।
Both the leaders met on the sidelines of the 16th BRICS summit, which is being held in the Russian city of Kazan. Beginning the day, Prime Minister Modi received a warm welcome at the Hotel Korston, speaking about which Prime Minister Modi said that the Indian community has distinguished itself all over the world with their accomplishments. He added that equally gladdening is the popularity of Indian culture globally.
आकाश गूंजे गूंजे जहान सारा गाज़ा में मोदी भारत माता की
So the 16th BRICS summit is themed on strengthening multilateralism for just global development and security. This is the first summit of the grouping after it was expanded in Johannesburg last year. The BRIC as a formal grouping started after the meeting of the leaders of Russia, India, China in St. Petersburg in 2006. It was agreed to expand the BRIC into BRICS with the inclusion of South Africa in the year 2010. Last year's expansion was the first such exercise since 2010. The new members included Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran and the United Arab Emirates. Now, DD India's Jessica Taneja joins us live from Kazan, Russia. Jessica, what do you make of the opening remarks made by both Prime Minister Modi and President Putin at the bilateral talks?
Just a short while ago, we heard both the leaders speak. In fact, that speech was also highlighted at the BRICS Expo Center. The focal point of the meeting was to take stock, as I pointed out earlier, but also, if you'd recall, in the last visit in July, both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin had also agreed, India had agreed to open a consulate in Kazan, and perhaps we could see that taking shape in the near future as well. More than 1,000 students, Indian students, are here in Kazan, both at the Kazan Federal University and the Kazan State Medical University. So, of course, the presence of the Indian diaspora is huge, given that the consulate should open soon. Apart from that, focus also on the Ukraine conflict, where India maintains its position, which is any conflict can only be resolved by dialogue and diplomacy. And the way India sees it is, perhaps in the recent past, you'd recall that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had categorically mentioned that this is not the era of war, and then earlier in July this year, he had again said that solutions can't be found on the battlefield, and that continues to be the stance even now. And India's position and India's view hasn't changed. And after that, the Prime Minister was also in Ukraine. He met with President Zelensky as well. But apart from the focus on the conflict in Ukraine, which India would want to be seeing as resolved soon, and perhaps also mediate in a sense for peaceful negotiations, could be something to look out for in the future. But the meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin was also about various areas of cooperation, particularly in defense and energy and many other sectors beyond that. You could also expect in the coming days, we could see some momentum towards collaboration in the Arctic region, the resource-rich Arctic region, and also the Northern Sea route, something that the two countries and leaders would see cementing, and particularly in the near future. You could expect more pacts, but for the moment, the meeting was limited to these particular aspects, and not to mention the presence at BRICS. Remember, both India and Russia, along with Brazil, and China are the founding members of this grouping, a multilateral grouping back in the year 2006, and we saw South Africa join in later. So it does sort of, show how important a multilateral event like BRICS is. With Prime Minister's presence here, expect India's engagements far and beyond.
Yes. And with which other leaders is Prime Minister Narendra Modi likely to hold bilaterals in the day?
So far, the only bilateral meeting planned was with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, and tomorrow, of course, we will know what's on the agenda. No information is available on that front at this moment, because usually during such multilateral events, there are pull asides and bilateral meetings. So we would wait for tomorrow as the day progresses. But for today, Tanvi, it's only going to be the Russian president.
Okay, thank you, Jessica, for those updates. Jessica Taneja reporting from Kazan, Russia. All right. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and his Singaporean counterpart Dr. Ng Hen held the 6th India-Singapore Defence Ministers Dialogue in New Delhi on Tuesday. The event also marks 10 years of India's Act East policy.
Singapore Minister of Defence Dr. Ng Hen was accorded Guard of Honour at the Manekshaw Centre in Delhi. The two defence ministers later co-chaired the 6th India-Singapore Defence Ministers Dialogue. Speaking on the occasion, India's Minister of Defence Rajnath Singh said this bilateral meeting follows Prime Minister Narendra Modi's successful visit to Singapore earlier this year. He stressed that defence cooperation is an important area of the bilateral relations between the two countries.
हमारे देशों के बीच बढ़ती निकटता का ये प्रमाण है। ये मीटिंग ऐसे समय में हो रही है कि भारत अपनी एक्ट ईस्ट पॉलिसी का एक दशक पूरा कर रहा है, जिसमें सिंगापुर ने महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है। इस रीजन के देशों में इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन, कल्चरल टाई और स्ट्रेटेजिक कनेक्टिविटी के विकास में भी आपकी बहुत ही अहम भूमिका रही। हमारी बायलैटरल पार्टनरशिप का एक महत्वपूर्ण क्षेत्र है, जो तीनों सर्विसेज के बीच फोकस डिफेंस कोऑपरेशन मैकेनिज्म्स और कंटिन्यूअस एंगेजमेंट के माध्यम से ये लगातार बढ़ रहा है।
The Defence Minister of Singapore is visiting India with a top military brass that includes the colonel rank officers of all the three services. Reciprocating at the opening remarks of the Defence Minister of India, Dr. Hen said that for Singapore, India has always been part of the East. This meeting would surely strengthen the bilateral ties between the two nations, he said. The meeting aims to carry forward defence cooperation between the two countries. Both sides are expected to exchange views on regional and global issues of shared interest. Vishal Baristo's report for DT India.
Earlier, the visiting dignitary Dr. Hen laid a wreath at the National War Memorial and also signed the visitors' book there. Hardeep Singh Puri, Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas of India, participated in the 7th Global Sustainable Technology and Innovation Community Conference today. Speaking on oil prices, the minister said that there is no shortage of oil in the world and it depends on global factors. The conference was being held in New Delhi and aims at accelerating technological solutions for sustainable development goals.
It depends on global factors. One thing is very clear, there is no shortage of oil in the world. Today, more and more oil is coming on the market. There are other factors like geopolitical tensions, etc. So what happens? There's no shortage of oil. But if there's tension in one part of the world, then the cost of, if you have to take a longer route, then the cost of the freight cost, the insurance freight cost, that will go up. But today, let us all, including the 4th distinguished members of the 4th estate, the press, let's all say that, better sense prevails, the call for peace, etc., which our Prime Minister is been making from every forum that it's time for diplomacy and for finding solutions.
You're watching DD India Live, still to come on the show. India sends 30 tons of medicines and food aid for the people of Palestine through the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. Germany, Qatar aim to deepen ties as Olaf Scholz hosts Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani in Berlin tomorrow. And we show you the new logo unveiled by India's telecom giant BSNL.
Who will be the next president of United States of America?
Will Donald Trump make a dramatic comeback, or will Kamala Harris become America's first woman president?
It's a tight race to the White House.
The knives are out and the battle lines sharply drawn.
He's becoming increasingly unstable and unhinged.
She's a threat to democracy because she shouldn't even be the candidate.
I'm Amritpal Singh.
I'm Shubhendu Ghosh.
We travel across the United States
to decode the issues at the heart of this polarized election.
Watch this space only on DD India.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Tanvi Taneja. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has arrived in Israel on Tuesday, the first stop of a wider West Asia tour aimed at reviving Gaza ceasefire talks. The top US diplomat's 11th trip to the region since beginning of the conflict comes as the Israeli military intensified its campaign in the Palestinian enclave as well as in Lebanon against Hezbollah. Blinken's planned week-long trip will include a stop in Jordan on Wednesday and Doha later on. The focus of the discussion would be finding ways to end the conflict, plans for the enclave after the fighting ends, and how to improve humanitarian assistance to the region. However, experts say any breakthrough ahead of the looming US election looks elusive. The visit comes on a day when Hezbollah launched volleys of rockets at two key bases near Tel Aviv and a naval base west of Haifa. Hezbollah said it had fired rockets at the Glilot base used by Unit 8200 of Israel's military intelligence and the Nirit area in Tel Aviv's suburbs. The group said that it also fired rockets at a naval base outside of the port city of Haifa further north. There were no immediate reports of casualties so far. However, Israeli authorities declared a state of emergency in the Tel Aviv area and all air traffic at Ben Gurion Airport has been halted. This comes after a heavy night of Israeli strikes on Lebanon's south and the southern suburbs of the capital. The explosion in Beirut before daybreak caused sparks to fly into the air and released a black plume of smoke. The Israeli strikes in Beirut's southern suburbs included one near the Rafiq Hariri University Hospital, the capital's main government hospital. Meanwhile, India has sent humanitarian assistance for the people of Palestine through the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. The first tranche of assistance, comprising 30 tons of medicine and food aid, has departed on Tuesday. The consignment includes a wide range of essential medicines and surgical supplies, dental products, general medical items and high-energy biscuits. On to Europe now. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz will host Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani in Berlin on Tuesday. The talks aim at deepening economic and diplomatic ties between the two regions. Global security issues are also on the agenda of the meet. The Emir will be accompanied by Qatari Energy Minister Saad Al-Kaabi. Qatar is a strategic partner for Germany as an alternative source of energy after the Russia-Ukraine conflict began in 2022. Qatar is also a key investor in the German economy. Now, with 2 weeks to the election day in the United States, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are intensifying their efforts to sway voters, especially in the swing states. Kamala Harris, the Democratic candidate for the US presidency, focused on her efforts on attracting moderate voters in 3 swing states. Harris campaigned in the battleground states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin and Michigan with former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney to court undecided independents and Republicans. While Donald Trump rejected the notion of being a threat to democracy, rather argued that it is Democrats who are the real threat to democracy. Having survived multiple assassination attempts in the past, he has said that God has saved him for a purpose. So DD India is closely following the election trail in the United States. My colleague Shubhendu Ghosh is in New York. He scans through some of the prominent newspapers and takes us through the latest developments in the political contest for the White House.
They say the beauty of New York in the fall season is unique, primarily because of the manner in which the leaves, as you can see in the background, turn into beautiful shades of yellow and orange. Well, let's turn to the newspapers and the big election stories of the day. We're beginning with the Daily News. It's talking about, interesting, 2 ways of cooking. Kamala heats up churches, Don slings fries at Mickey D's. Talking about Georgia, Vice President Kamala Harris told a congregation of large black church in suburban Atlanta on Sunday that people must show compassion and respect their daily lives, do more than just preach values to others. Meanwhile, also on Sunday, former President Donald Trump worked at the fry station at the McDonald's in Pennsylvania before staging an impromptu news conference. In fact, he was answering questions from reporters through the drive-through window. Okay, so the next paper we are turning to is the New York Post. One person who's making as much news as the key contenders, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, happens to be Elon Musk. And this article talks about Elon's big shot. Well, billionaire Elon Musk made a wry joke about getting shot for his plan to give away $1 million checks to swing state voters in support of former President Donald Trump, just after handing out his second prize so far in Pennsylvania. He says that I hope I live tonight. Musk joke at the Roxy Theatre at Mackey's Rocks. This was just outside of Pittsburgh. Based on some of the things I'm getting, I might not. It's all fun and games, he says, until someone loses an eye or an ear. Hopefully, I don't get shot, says Elon Musk. Another article in the same paper is about the manner in which Obama is standing up to Donald Trump. The article reads, O stands up to express. Former President Barack Obama delivered a stand-up monologue in North Las Vegas. He said that Donald Trump is a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he wrote down the golden escalators 9 years ago. When he's not complaining, he's trying to sell you stuff and idea. And finally, let's turn to the New York Times. The manner in which campaigning is getting all loud is what the focus of the article is, especially in the swing states. It says bids for votes are drowning the 7 swing states. Electronic billboards along eastern Pennsylvania, ads for car dealership are now flashing images of the key contenders, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. It also talks about in Arizona, for example, college students are receiving a flurry of messages to go out and vote. For these 7 swing states, the campaign is happening right at their doorstep, and their attention is demanded by the key contenders. But those were the highlights of the newspapers published today. With camera person Jaishankar, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in New York.
So from New York to New Delhi, India's telecom giant BSNL unveiled its new logo symbolizing trust, strength and nationwide reach. BSNL also introduced 7 pioneering initiatives aimed at enhancing digital security, affordability and reliability for urban and rural regions alike. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya has more.
Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited proudly unveils its brand new logo symbolizing strength, trust and nationwide accessibility. Launched by Union Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia, this bold new look signifies BSNL's renewed focus on delivering secure, affordable and reliable connectivity.
It is only BSNL that at the behest of the Prime Minister, along with indigenous equipment manufacturers, toiled day and night and has come up with our own 4G stack. And today we are among the 6 countries in the world to develop our own 4G telecom stack, which will soon migrate to even 5G.
Alongside this exciting new logo, BSNL introduces 7 initiatives designed to revolutionize the way India connects. First, a spam-free network, automatically filtering out phishing and malicious messages for safer communication experiences. Next, the national Wi-Fi roaming services, providing seamless high-speed internet at no extra cost for BSNL's customers. And BSNL's IFTV and intranet TV service, offering over 500 live channels without eating into your data pack. Plus, anytime SIM kiosk, you can buy, upgrade or replace your SIM cards 24/7 with ease. BSNL is also introducing India's first direct-to-direct services, merging satellite and terrestrial networks for reliable emergency connectivity. Their public protection and disaster relief network ensures encrypted, uninterrupted communication during crisis. And lastly, private 5G for mines, providing high-speed, low-latency connectivity to enhance safety and efficiency in mining operations.
From 75 lakh subscribers in March 2024, we've now gone to 1.8 crore subscribers. That is almost 2.5x in a matter of 6 months. BSNL now will always be at the forefront of technological innovation.
With these initiatives, BSNL is leading the charge towards a digitally connected Bharat, where security, affordability, and reliability are at the heart of the network. Taposh Bhattacharya's report, DD India.
So that's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles. And of course, you can download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for being with us. Namaskar.